Hi guys, welcome back to Fruits Basket Podcast. So today I am here. My name's Kyo Anime. I'm your host, and for some reason we don't have our co-host right here, but she might pop in later, so that'd be great. But we do have a guest today, and her name's Susan. Say hi, Susan.
Hi, everybody.
She's also a huge Fruits Basket nut, like all of us.
Oh yeah, love it.
And I just wanted to ask you a few questions, not that hard of questions, Susan, just because you're a guest. So what year what zodiac animal are you?
I am the year of the ox, and it's pretty cool. I like Haru a lot.
We get along because I'm a rat. So
nice.
We're best buds.
Oh yeah.
And also I thought of this question. It's out of the zodiac characters, the ones that are cursed, who's your least favorite member?
I'm not really sure how much of a least, but probably just be Kagura, because I love them all so much, and I just would say her the least.
Yeah, same.
Nothing against her,
yeah, I like her as a character more than other characters, believe me. So
right.
Exactly. All right, so that was just some fun little intro, and we're just going to talk about each episode 5 and 6 that came out. And so episode 5 was called, what was it? Wait for me, Toro Soba? Was that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to say. And so the very beginning, we get this mysterious man talking about Uo. And he comes to her while she's working at her, what's it called?
The
store.
Convenience. Yeah.
Yeah, convenience store. And he comes up with this mile high long of potato chips and in bags. And he's like, "Can you help me?" And she's like, "Why don't you grab a basket?" Which I was like, fruit basket. But anyway. And he's like, "Oh yeah," and then he bows to thank you, and all of them just fall to the floor, and it makes her think of Toru when she first met Toru, and how all her books just fell to the floor, and so she starts laughing, and of course he's just like, "Whoa, this girl's laugh." He's just say, I don't know what he says exactly, but it was he just loves her laugh, and that's kind of the mysterious opening we had, which was nice. We'll get into him later since he talks about who he is later. And so then we have the Bop opening. And after that, we have Mayako Sensei, which was nice to see. I always love seeing her. And she's pretty much giving them a lecture. And when she leaves, they're all like, "Yes, it's summer break!" And I couldn't help but think of High School Musical, sadly.
Oh my god.
And they're all like, "What time is it?" And I'm like, "No, don't think of that." But that's pretty much how they reacted, almost. And then they go, Uo was so excited. She says she could tear a car apart or something like that. And they're like, Toru's like, "Calm down." And then Hana comes up with all these different summer props.
Oh, I love that part.
I think there was a butterfly net and ice cream, and she's just like, "Yeah, you need to calm down." And it was like, "No, you need to calm down." And Hana actually got she didn't fail any exams, so she gets to have a fun summer, which was nice. They were surprised by that. And then they go into summer jobs, and Uo explains how she has 2 jobs, and Tori's like, "Oh, I think I'll get another job too over the summer," and they're like, "No, don't do that. You're way too busy." And I'm like, good friends. I also thought it was funny when so then they were like, "So you met a guy at work?" And Uo was like, "Yeah." And they're like, they're like, "Oh," and he's like, "Toru?" And she's like, "No, he's just clumsy like Toru." And they're like, "Oh, that scatterbrained?" And Toru's just like, "What? I'm scatterbrained?"
Like, this is the first time she's ever heard that.
Yeah. I thought that was so funny. But then it just goes into pretty much her walking home with Yuki and Kyo, and she's all excited for summer. And then Yuki and Kyo start fighting like they always do, because I can't remember exactly what over, but something. It was small.
It's always something, yeah.
So then she's trying to like stop their fighting or arguing, and it's like, "What do you guys want for dinner?" And all of a sudden we just hear someone say ginger fried pork, and you look over and Haru's standing there underneath the sprinklers, like just
yes, my
a single
spirit animal.
yes, just a single sprinkler hitting him. I was confused because why was the sprinkler like hitting the cement? Like, why isn't it like towards the grass or something?
Yeah, that never made sense.
I was just like, okay. I liked how they had a rainbow logo behind him, like when it showed him like under the. So then Kyo's just like, dude, that's weird. Get out from under the sprinkler. And Momiji comes up and sprays Kyo, and it's like, oh, the water's fun.
That pretty much describes the entire dynamic between Kyo and Haru. It's always, what are you doing? Like,
yes. And of course, Kyo's just like, what the crap, Momiji? Why'd you spray me with water? And I love, as in these 2 episodes, I did love Momiji, Kyo. I don't know what you call it, like their relationship is just. I always think of them as like little brother, big brother that annoys each other, like.
Yeah.
So it was great. And so while they're like arguing, Haru's just over at Yuki and being like, I want ginger pork. Please. And Yuki's just like, yes, I know. But then Momiji's like, we're gonna go to a fun place. And they go into this like, some kind of building. I guess it was like a mall or something, because it's a really big building. And they're like, yeah, it's super fun. And it ends up being a haunted house. And I was so excited that they did this because I thought they might skip it in the anime just because I never saw how that really went with the plot of the whole show.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. Like, I really wanted to see it, but I was afraid that they were just going to leave it out because it is kind of, it's summertime. It's an odd time for that to happen, but I'm so glad they animated it.
Yeah, I was like, yes, they stuck it in because I thought they might skip it because, I don't know, just them going to a haunted house is what it all is, so. But then they're like, what if we don't want to go? What if someone doesn't want to go in there? And they're like, Toru, and you can see, like, she's so scared. But she's like, I'm going to face my fears. I got to do this. And she's like, she's just so determined. And then she's like, she goes in the ticket booth, is like, she's like, I'm going to get this ticket and go, like, bring it on. And I could feel Toru in that moment because personally, like, I'm either one of 2 people in a haunted house. I'm either the one like hiding behind someone, like holding onto their shirt, like closing my eyes, crying, or I'm the one that's like, you can't hit me, ghost. I'm too bad. So like,
I think I relate more to like Yuki and Kyo. Like, I've never really cared for them, so I just like, I'll like walk through it and be like, okay, none of this is entertaining me.
Really, that's funny. Because then again, like, I feel like, yeah, if it was all like mechanical, like the one they went in, it wouldn't be as scary as like because whenever I go to haunted houses, it's always like real people,
right?
So that's more scary to me. I don't know why. So I felt Toru in this moment. I was like, and it depends on who I'm with or like the situation. If I'm like the big tough person in the haunted house, or if I'm the scared person. Like, if the other person's scared that's with me, then I'm the tough person.
Right. It's that mom friend coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So they went through the haunted house, and first Toru's like, tries to do Momiji's approach of laughing at everything. That doesn't work. So then she closed her eyes twice. She tries that twice and just runs into a wall. And falls over. And so Kyo and Yuki are like, dang, she's gonna die if we don't help her.
Oh, that poor girl.
So they're both like, let me help you. At the same time, they're like, take my hand. And I thought that was hilarious. Because
yes.
Because after that, they're like, all the ghosts go, ah!
Yeah, I'm so glad they animated that part. That was just wonderful.
Oh yeah, then they start arguing again, like, oh, why'd you copy what I said, and blah, blah, blah. And while they're arguing, Momiji just saves the day. It's like, takes Toru's hand. This is like, you idiots. Like, well, he says, like, that's a no-no, or something like that is what he actually says.
Yeah, he's like, you never leave a girl stranded, or something like that.
Yeah. No, and I'm like, yes, Momiji is best boy in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so they start walking a little more, and then Haru comes up to help. And oh gosh, this part gets so detailed for no reason, and I love it, because he's like, okay, what if you just think of a sad story of these people that are ghosts and dead? And so, like, there's this random guy with, like, an arrow in his head, and I don't know, he keeps making these noises, like, blah! I don't know what he says, but, like, while he's telling the story, and he comes up with this whole story about, like, his mom leaving him, like, when he was 10, and leaving a sweater on him, and he has this sweater, and, like, the animation is so great, because it starts, like, playing, like, that really sad music, and you get a flashback.
My first impression of that scene, like, it had, like, that really sad, like, you know, melancholic sound next to it, like, it was, like, that really sad music, and I was like, that's kind of not how I pictured it actually happening. I thought it'd be more comedic, but at the end, you know, like, they made it more funny, and I just loved that part. It was so funny.
Yeah, and I always wondered how they were going to do that part, too, because in the book, it's like all of a sudden there's this like whole huge story, it feels like, this dumped on like 3 pages.
Right, and then it's gone.
And then he's like, well, his mother has come back, and then Toru and Momiji are like so into this story, and they're like, oh! and so like this animatronic comes up and he breaks the head off of her and like puts it next to the guy.
I love that part.
In that part, I was like, now that was the scariest part. I feel like when he broke the head off, I was like, dang.
Yeah, and poor Yuki and Kyo in the background, they're just like, oh my god, this guy.
So, of course, they get in trouble, and like they're like, oh, the guy who's like in charge of the haunted house or whatever, he's like, you gotta pay for this. And then Momiji's like, and Toru, they're like, oh, but please don't separate them. They've been separated like since he's 10, and Kyo's like, stop. That was just a story. He's not gonna want to listen to your stupid story. And then like, you know, like time goes by, kind of feels the scene, and then it comes back, and the guy's like, oh my gosh, that is such a touching story. I guess they didn't have to pay. I guess.
Yeah, they never resolved that.
I don't know. Maybe their story was so touching they didn't have to. That'd been funny, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And of course, like, Kyo's just like, this town is full of idiots, and I'm like, that is true, very true. So then we get back to Uo at her. She's at her cafe, working hard, and she's on break. So she walks out, and it's really hot outside, but she's just walking around, and she sees the random mysterious guy's back. And so she starts like running, and she doesn't really know. She grabs his shirt like so hard that a button flies off.
I didn't even notice that part at first. It took me the second time I watched it to see that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either. But then I looked at the manga too, and that's happened to manga too. So I was like, okay.
Damn, Uo's got some strength on her.
I mean, yeah, she's a strong girl, so it makes sense. And she's like, oh, I caught up to you, and she's out of breath, and she's just like, oh no, I just saw you, and I was just like, I had to see you and catch up to you. And then her stomach growls, and she's like, oh crap, I'm gonna be hangry really soon, I haven't ate yet. And so he's just like, yeah, you want me to buy you some food? And I was like, dang, what he said.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, a random guy just wants to buy you food. Okay. So she's like, yeah,
Like, this is the second time you've seen this girl and you're offering her food. I mean, yeah, I would definitely agree to that too.
And it also makes me think of how like Hana and Uo always seem to talk about food. So
yes.
so she was sold, and that's when she's like, "We're gonna go to Toro Soba," and she's all excited, and he's just like, "You don't want anything like, expensive or fancier? You just want soba?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so, and I can feel that sometimes, like the cheap stuff sometimes is really good, like fast food.
Yeah.
I got her there. I was like, yeah. So they go to that restaurant, and they finally say their names, and so we've learned his name is Kurino, and she's like, "Oh, I'm." She says her actual full name, but he doesn't say his full name. So yeah,
very mysterious.
Still mysterious. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, "Wow, you work 2 jobs," and because they start talking about their like job. Well, not really. She's like, why are you walking around? Like, he's like, "Oh, I'm off today." And then she says how she works 2 jobs. And he's like, "Wow, you're in high school and you work 2 jobs." And then he's like, "I'm 26." And she's like, "Whoa, is this like..."
I always thought that was odd that he volunteered his age like that to her.
I think, I don't know, because some people are like, didn't like it, because like reactors, they were like, "This is an anime, age shouldn't matter." And I'm like, but it's like, I don't know. I was like, I kind of liked it in a way, because then you have more of a real life thing in it, and I don't know, it's weird. I don't know how I feel about it. But he's like, "Yeah, I'm 26 years old," and she's like, "Is this even legal to be like going out with this dude because she obviously likes him?"
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "You're so much more like experienced than me." And he's like, "That was my first time at a convenience store." And she's just like, "What? How are you 26 and never been to a convenience store? Like, that's so weird." And he just starts going on about how it wasn't necessary for him to go to one. When he has days off, he does like unnecessary things and kind of, wanders around.
Yeah. See, like, I have a bone to pick with that part, because, Uo, she latched on to him saying unnecessary, but right after he'd said it was unnecessary for him to be out there, he called it a special occasion. So I was like, shouldn't you notice that he called it special,
Yeah.
like, that you met him?
Yeah. Because then she gets all like, well, first she says like, "Are you happy with, your life like that? That you pretty much your job is your life almost?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty happy." And she's like, "Then why don't you have a genuine smile? Like, your smile seems sad," or something like that. That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she starts getting mad. And some people said that it was kind of, some people, like, I don't agree with this, but some people said it was like off character of her to do. But I think Uo's so like mature for her age, that like emotionally, that she just kind of would just say her emotions. I don't know how to explain that, but she like knows how she feels and she'll say it, kind of character.
She's very blunt.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it made sense. But she gets mad and says like, "Well, I'm sorry I wasted your time and I'm unnecessary." And she's like, "I really wanted to see you and I was really happy to," and runs away or whatever, storms out in her heels because she's wearing heels this whole time. And but of course, it was nice. He runs after her. First, he's kind of shocked. Actually, he kind of sits at the table like, "What?" But runs after her, and she's mad. And he eventually catches up to her and apologizes, and says that he was actually really happy for her call out to him and chase after him, and that he's actually been thinking about her a lot. And she's all like, "Oh, really?" and it's so funny because he's like, "You embarrassed?" And she like kicks him and like and he's just like laughing, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, you really can smile, like, for real." And then comes the weird part where he like almost kisses her but doesn't.
Oh my gosh, that part gets me every time.
I was like, a little too soon, bro. But and then but him doing that like made her think that he really did like her, but yet she doesn't know because it was weird. So
it was just so brief. Yeah, like she couldn't really tell.
yeah, it was just kind of like, okay then, and he just walks away without saying anything. All dramatic like.
Very sad boy vibes.
Yes. Oh, and then we go cut back to Toru and the gang, and they're finally getting their ginger pork, which they're all happy about, especially Haru. And they just kind of tell Shigure they went to a haunted house and it was so like moving. And Shigure's like, what? Okay. And but then we get the dramatic ending, which was Kureno again. I said his name wrong. Kureno again. And he's walking in this area that looks, very dark and scary. And he's just all like, I don't know. He talks about Uo and how he would like to be with her and it'd be fun to be with her, but you most likely can't. And then we see Akito and we're like, oh!
Yes.
And then Akito like closes the door behind him, and yeah, it's a
lot packed in there.
Yes. So we find out obviously Kureno is somehow related to Soma's. So yeah. So yeah, that was that episode. What did you think of the episode overall? Like,
I gotta say, I was waiting for that for so long because I'd watched the original series and they never got that far into it. And reading the manga too as a kid, I was like, oh, I just want to see him animated. And finally, we got it. So I was screaming, I was crying, like I was pounding, like punching my knee, like, oh yes, finally.
I was like, for me, it was weird because I knew his new character is coming and I was excited about it. But like seeing him animated just made it like I like him even more now. Like, yes. It's weird, but it's true. And I was like, he might be like my second favorite, like Soma under Kyo, like look wise. He might be beating Haru, maybe. So
wow,
like Haru used to be my second, but now I'm like,
yeah. No, I mean just seeing him animated, like he is even more so like Toru than I'd ever thought. Like the way he talked and just how polite he was, I was like, I can really see it now. Like, not just reading it, but I can actually see his behavior.
Yeah, that's true too. And I'm kind of excited to see. It's like right now the dubs being pushed off, so I'm excited to see who plays his. Like, I think they already said who played his voice, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I think his name is Ian Sinclair, and I've watched other animes with him in it before. I went on YouTube and watched like some of his like different characters he's played to get a feel for his voice. I think they did a good choice. He's got a deeper voice. I would have expected Kureno to have very light and soft. So I'm very curious to see how this guy portrays that.
Yeah. So, and I think that's about it. Oh, I just got a note from Francesca, and she said she's sick today. So.
Oh, I'm right here.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I just came in. I'm sorry I'm late.
You're fine. We thought you'd jump in sometime, probably. Anyway.
Okay.
But we just did episode 5, and so what did you think of episode 5 overall? Because you watched it, so.
Me?
Yeah, so like with
I loved it. But yeah, I did definitely. Obviously, the age gap. If it was real life, I'd be more concerned. But since it's an anime, I can let it go more. And I kind of just don't pay attention to it because I don't know. I think that they're really cute together still, and I really love the haunted house scene too because Toru is so cute, and I just love her so much. It's one of the best comedic scenes, I think. That's basically it.
The next one, episode 6, was Are You Really This Stupid? It starts out with like kind of how it, like at my house right now, it's actually storming, so it makes sense. It starts out storming in this episode, like in the rain, and Shiguri's like, "Oh, it's storming," and he goes, "You know what that means? They're coming."
Hey, he's just scaring poor Toru.
Yeah. And she's like, "What's coming?" And then like Momiji just bursts out of nowhere, like, "Yeah!" And I'm like, I guess the Momiji's coming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone said the children are coming. But
Perfect timing.
and then they're like, "Oh, you scared me," or me, Jericho was like, "You scared me," and then he's like, "Well, we're gonna get out of here, and it should be clear tomorrow." And he's like, "So I rented a summer vacation house," and they're like, "Well," Tori's like, "What?" And Momiji always seems to do that. He just is like, "Let's go to this," and I rented this, and yeah, and
Momiji loves to start stuff, man.
But I like that energy. I need that kind of person in my life to be like, "Let's get out."
No,
Right.
you don't need a Momiji, I feel like.
Spontaneous.
Exactly. So, and then he's like, "Oh, I invited the whole gang." He like lists off all these people, like pretty much the whole Soma family. And then it's funny because it goes to Hiro and Kisa for a second, and Kisa has the invite, and Hiro's are like, "Oh, those babies, they're gonna go to the beach during summer," and then Kisa's like, "I want to go," and he's like, "We're going."
No, Hiro's so cute.
And so then they come back, and Yuki asks Shigure wants to go, but he's like, "Don't you have work?" And he's like, "No," and he's like, "Yeah, you do. You just don't want to work."
Yeah, he said that's pissing me off even more.
And so then he's like, "Well, what about your homework?" And Yuki's like, "Oh, I'm pretty much finished with it." Momichi's like, "I'm almost done." And then Toru's just like, "Oh crap!" And like the lightning struck and everything. Like, like she just noticed she hasn't done any of her homework. And, yeah.
Toru has been getting even cuter this season. I feel like she's just all her cute scenes. I love it.
Yeah. Like I've been thinking, the more I watch Fruits Basket, like the more I'm like, oh, I can relate to Toru.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's great.
Yeah, I love her.
So they're like, well, they go into Toru's room, and Yuki's gonna help her because Yuki's a genius. And Momiji's like, "Where's Kyo?" And she's like, "Oh, he's resting in his room, probably because it's raining, so he just doesn't like to get out when it rains." And so Momiji's like, "Okay, I'll go tell him about tomorrow." And so he goes to Kyo's room, and he's just lying down on the floor, and he's just like, "Hey, Kyo," and he's like, "Leave me alone, I'm too tired." And he's like, "Hey, Kyo!" He starts yelling, and we're gonna go. Yeah. And he's like, "Ah," and he's like, "Oh, tomorrow?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's like, okay. And then he's like, leave me alone. And Momiji uses the Toru card, is what I like to call it. He's like,
yeah,
Toru's gonna be there. Don't you want to be with Toru? Well, he doesn't say that, but he uses the Toru card pretty much.
Right, he implied it.
Yeah. Like how, I don't know, we've seen a lot of Yuki changing this season. It's nice to see more mention that Kyo has changed, and Kyo, Momiji says has gotten nicer.
That's Momiji's like, because he's like, oh, I didn't say I wouldn't go. He's just annoyed because he's being loud and crap. He's like, oh, you're nicer.
Right, like it's like just a few episodes back when they were talking about the school's trip. Kyo was saying he didn't want to go because obviously Yuki was going to be there when Momiji asked him if he wanted to go. So it's a big change already for him to be like, yeah, I didn't say I wouldn't go.
Yeah, that's true. But after that, they go back to Yuki and Toru in her room doing homework, and she finally gets it. It's probably like math or physics because she said she's bad at physics. That's what she said, like the first season. So she's like, "Oh, I get it now." And then he sees the hat, and everybody's like, "Oh,
Yes.
the hat!" haven't had a reference to that in a while. So
I feel like some like anime onlys just forgot about it.
yeah, exactly. And so he asks about it, which is I liked how like it makes sense that he would ask about it now because how his character development has gone. Like he's starting to speak up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was really good timing.
and she tells him about it, which we kind of already know the story, but he's like, why do you keep it when it's so like worn out? And she just says it's a precious memory to her, so she's kept it.
Yeah, and you can tell
that's something she would totally do.
You can tell that really affects Yuki, and like the way that she really treasures it really picks him up almost.
Yeah, and then so he's about to tell her something, and then Momiji bursts in and is like, Kyo's coming! And they're like, yay! And so we don't get to know what Yuki was gonna say. And but I thought Momiji and Toru were so cute, how like they were finished like saying each other's sentences and stuff.
Yeah, they have an adorable dynamic.
And let's see what I wanted to talk about how in the manga, like they skipped this part. Like instead of Momiji just coming in and being like, Kyo's going, the window breaks because of the storm.
Oh man,
and like
yeah,
and so I figured they'd probably cut that part just because it was like almost the whole chapter was the window breaking.
I don't remember it that well, but
yeah. Oh, but I missed the part when Momiji says he's blowing wind.
Yeah, I don't remember it that well, but like I think I saw a screenshot of that on Twitter, and I was like, oh dang.
Yeah, like the window breaks and Momiji comes in. He's like, cease wind. Yeah,
that's so cute. It's Toru like freaking out.
Yeah, Toru's freaking out, and then Kyo fixes it because he fixes it like he did the roof, you know.
Even though it wasn't his fault this time.
Yeah, and then Momiji finds out he broke the roof, and he's like, "That's not nice, Kyo."
God, I love Momiji and Kyo's dynamic too. I love them together anytime they're on screen.
Exactly. Then the next day they're like, "Okay, we're gonna leave," and Shigure's like, "I'll have to stay behind for a few last minute things," and they're like, "Okay," and he's teases them again. He's like, "Don't tease Toru without me." And they leave. And but then he's like, "Come on out," and then here comes Ren.
And I bet anime onlys were just like shocked. Like,
like yes.
Ren just walks out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean she's pretty much been like that this whole time though. She's just like there. It's like she kind of appears and it's like mysterious. But he's like, "Oh, you came," and he's like, why are you here? He's like, "Come on in." And she's all like, "You know what I want, don't you?" And he's like, "I don't think I can help you with that, whatever it is." She doesn't say. And then this part like it felt like a hentai or something.
No,
it was getting there. It was getting there. I was like, but I mean, the manga, it was kind of like that too.
It was like they just edited her walking up part, but it was the same vibe in the manga. It was supposed to be like the same thing. They're caught off guard with like the sexual undertones.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then she was saying, "What am I gonna do with you?" Yeah, like the sexual undertones of that. Oh.
Yes.
Spicy.
People who don't know were like, what are they doing? Like, which was me when I read it. I was like, wait, what? And so then it just cuts to the beach, and which actually we have Kisa and Hiro with us and Haru, and in the manga, Kisa and Hiro weren't there, so I thought it was so funny how Hiro like never got in the water at all.
Very in character for him.
I thought he was there. Hey, I mean, maybe I'm thinking of a different time. I thought he was there.
No, because in the manga they come like a day after.
Yeah, I had to reread that part. I had to reread that because I was like, I didn't think they were at the beach.
Yeah, they come for like the beetle thing later.
Yeah, I remember them there. Okay.
And So I thought it was funny how Hero was like, "No, I'm not getting the water," and never got in the water.
Yeah, he's like, "No, I'm too mature for that. Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, they probably because of like timing, because you got to get the episode to a certain length. So if they left out Hero and Kisa, then there wouldn't have been anything to fill the last part of the episode. They probably had to like cut corners a little and add them in the first day, which I don't think it ruined it or anything.
No, I feel like every time they cut up or rearrange the timeline a little, it still doesn't hurt it. Like so far, I think, as long as you tell the whole story.
I think that the only thing that they changed was like a little like Hiro and Kisa fight, and then it cuts right to them making up 2 seconds later. Which, like in the manga, I'm pretty sure they had the Yuki and Toru scene first, and then the Hiro. Yeah, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
The only thing that whole thing worried me was that I just don't want them to rush the beach arc, because they've had us going so excited for it. Like, I'm like, please, like, don't skip too much. Like, they fit it all in very well with Kisa and Hiro showing up. So I just hope that they don't do that in the future, where they just cut things out to make it go faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think why this episode was kind of packed was because it always seems like every episode is 2 chapters. And if they do it right, there's gonna be like at least 5 episodes of the beach. So,
well, this episode was like 3 chapters, though.
Yeah. So I feel like they just had to the first one they had to set everything up for the beach. It was like, so they kind of put a lot in, but it's okay. I think it was fine.
Yeah, I think it worked. I remember in the group chat, I was talking about how this seemed like too much for the episode, and then there were people who were like, no, this is the preview for episode 6 and 7. And I was like, what?
Yeah, some people who haven't read the manga, they were like, they felt like nothing happened in that episode. And I'm like, what?
I didn't see that. I saw people say that so much happened.
Yeah, some people, I've seen both. That's why I'm like, it's
just... Who's saying that nothing happened? What? It's crazy.
People's opinions. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And where were we at? We got off track.
At the beach.
Yeah,
they just got to it. Yeah,
Toru's swimming like really fast. They're like, whoa! And
yeah, she looks so funny.
And then Kyo, I like how he just like comes swooping in, like I said, like Spider-Man, because he just like lands on a rock, like
without getting wet.
I think that there were a bunch of rocks and he jumped like from rock to rock, but like everybody was like, how did he get there? And I'm like, I think he just jumped from rock to rock.
Yeah.
Same. And Haru even kind of was the audience there. He was like, how did he get there? She's like, oh, did you see me swim, Kyo? And he's like, you need to learn to like breathe, right?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get swept away.
Yeah, it's like a callback to whenever they were talking at the dojo.
Exactly. And so he puts the inner tube around her, jumps in, and starts like dragging her back. And he's like, Momiji, you need to teach her how to breathe.
Yeah.
And then she's like, whoa! And he's like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, this is fun! Because she's
I love how you like do this like deep voice for Kyo. I just noticed you're like, Momiji.
I don't know. I just do voices.
No, it's okay. I like it.
What else? Okay, and so she's like, whoa, this is fun! And so Kyo's like starts spinning her real fast. I don't know. He's just probably like.
That's fun.
I don't know why he did that, but
because she was having fun.
Yeah,
I felt like it was kind of like he was getting kind of embarrassed, and like to avoid like blushing, whatever. He was like, okay, let's stop this now.
That could have been it, most likely.
Because he gets really bashful whenever he's flirting or whatever.
Yeah. No, you didn't really see his face that much in that scene, but he was like smiling. He was having a good old time. Yeah. In the manga, you could see him like smiling while he did it. So like they were all having fun, which is, I don't know, it's very wholesome and cute.
Yeah. And then we cut to Yuki and Haru on the beach, and they're like, Haru's like, oh wow, even Kyo got in the water. And then Yuki's like, all of a sudden just starts thinking of like the dark room and like having flashbacks like right then.
No.
And poor boy. And he just has Akito talking about him like always being in darkness and like no one's gonna help him and all this like
that was scary,
stuff.
man.
Yeah. And then of course Haru's there, and he like wakes him up out of, back to reality. He's like, "You okay?" And because Haru always knows when Yuki's feeling weird. And Yuki like says something about, "Oh, I shouldn't worry, Toru. I should go into the water and play with them." And so he does. And I'm like, again, Yuki stepping up. So doing the right thing. And then Kyo comes back and Haru's like, "Oh, you done?" And he's like, "I wasn't even gonna get in the water," as he's like literally in jeans. Like,
yeah, for real. Everybody was like, "Oh no." So like reactor people I saw were just upset that he had to jump in the water in jeans.
Yes.
And then so Haru's like, "Let's do a race." And he's like, "What?" And then we have like Yuki talking to Toru in the water, and he's like, "Oh, your swimsuit's so cute." And she's like, "Oh, flustered, thank you." And you guys picked it out. And I thought it was so cute because Momiji was like, "Toru's always cute."
Yeah, as he's floating away.
And but finally, Haru's like, "Hey, Yuki, you should race with us because then Kyo will race me." And Kyo's like, "No, I'm not doing that." And Yuki's like, "I'll do it." He's like, throws off his jacket. He's like, "Let's do this. I'm gonna beat you."
For real.
And of course, Yuki does win. Because after that, they're like, "Oh, Yuki won." And Kyo goes off to his room and puts a sign. It's like, "Don't wake me up." On his room and sulks. And
I know, poor baby.
He's gotta let his ego rest.
And so they're walking back to the house, and Toru drops her pocketbook again with her mom's picture in it.
Oh.
Good time. This time Hiro gives it back to her.
Yeah.
Which was good. But then
there's a little bit of his growth.
Yeah. But then he starts asking some questions that people sometimes like, "Oh, I was really rude to ask," and I'm like, but they're good questions.
yeah, and I think Hiro, I mean, it was rude. He didn't realize that. I think that he's just not aware when he's being rude at this point.
Yeah.
Times like that.
So he's asked, like, "Why are you hold a picture of just your mom? Why not your dad? Like, you must have a mom complex, or what's wrong with you?" Kind of along those lines. And Toru, like, all of a sudden she has like sad eyes, and she just kind of laughs it off.
Yeah, that really struck a chord with her.
Yeah. Like, I know that for me as a manga reader, like, I know what's going on with Toru, it just breaks my little heart. It breaks my heart, man.
Oh, yeah.
And so she runs away, then Kisa, like, lays it on Hiro. Ugh. Hiro, and she's just like, why did you ask that? Why did you say that? And she's like, did you just come here to make, like, fun, or to tease, be mean to Toru? I forget what she says exactly, but
It hurt her, yeah.
Yeah, it hurt Toru.
And make trouble for her, I forget.
Yeah. And she runs away crying, and she goes to Toru, and but then Hiro's just like, "Oh, I can't win." Like, he falls on his knees. The poor boy. And he's just like, because he just came there to be with Kisa.
Real.
And but then he says, like, he's learning. That's the thing. Yeah. He's like, oh, she must have things that are really deep in her heart, just like I do, that I can't talk about yet. So he starts to realize what he did was wrong. So that's good. And then we're in the house all of a sudden, and it's after dinner. And so there, Yuki's like, asks if Haru and Kisa had a fight because they didn't talk during dinner. And I keep saying Haru. Hiro and Kisa. Oh my goodness. Hiro and Kisa had a fight. Now Haru says, like, we shouldn't interfere with them. Let them figure it out themselves. And yeah, we get Kisa coming to Hiro's door, about to knock, and of course he opens it and bonks her in the head. And again,
yeah, I know, poor little baby.
I know.
They're relatable though. Like I feel like we've all been there.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And again, I felt sorry for Kisa, but I also felt sorry for him because I was just like, he just can't win today. Like,
No.
Real.
But they both apologized to each other, which was just like, it was what they needed.
It was so wholesome and sweet.
Yeah, I love their dynamic and their relationship so much. They're so cute.
They both knew that they felt bad and they just apologized, and it was good. So, but then we get this sad scene. Oh my goodness, with Toru.
Yeah.
And she's pretty much just outside, like crying, and she's just remembering her mom, and they have like flashbacks. And what I love about Fruits Basket is the flashbacks like are usually like so fast, but yet like so detailed that like you're like, what?
Yeah, like in the flashback, what we saw was the shrine to Toru's like dad, and then we saw little Toru, and then Kyoko walking out the door, and then like a cut to like older Toru in the apartment alone with like all the stuff packed up because like Kyoko died.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I know the context for like. I don't know. Is everybody here a manga reader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk at the end, though.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't gonna say it, but I was just like, yeah, it makes me really sad.
Yeah, and
yeah, like knowing what she's battling is just, oh my god, my heart.
And like the part that got me the most actually was when she kept saying like, "It's okay, it's okay." I was like, oh.
I know, my poor baby.
So then the next day, she's like really happy, like she's too happy. And they're catching beetles, and stag beetles and whatever. So, and it's funny because she has a beetle and she like puts it in like Hiro's face. It's like, look, isn't it? Look at it. And he's just like, if I was Hiro, I'd be like, get that thing out of my face, like. But he's trying to be nice, so he's just like, oh yeah, that's cool or something, because he knows he hurt her a little bit, and in a way trying to like make it up, but not really. Yeah, Kyo comes along. He's on his morning jog.
He's not wearing shoes as usual.
I didn't notice that. That's great. Kyo came by and was like, oh, she's like, oh, look at this beetle, it's a stag beetle. And he was like, no, it's a rhinoceros. And she's like, what? And she had to look it up.
She's like, I gotta go look at the book.
And then Kyo goes over to Hiro and hits him in the head and was like, what'd you say to her? And he says she seems down, which is really cool that Kyo can like sense that she's
like nobody else seemed to sense it.
Down.
Kyo did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so then she's all like, oh, it's a rhinoceros beetle. And Kyo's like, yeah, I know. I just told you that.
Yeah.
And then we get to Shigure and Akito, and they're inside, I don't know, Akito's room, I guess it is. But, and Akito's all being, like, negative, like Akito always is. It's like, oh, I hate summer, it's so hot, blah, blah, blah. And Akito's like, oh, I need Hattori. And Shigure's like, Hattori's busy, like, all the time, you don't need him. And
yeah.
Oh, that really pushed Akito's buttons.
Yeah, then Akito was like, he lives for me, pretty much. And then we see Hattori talking like through a crack of the door to like a girl. Or Shigure sees it, but Akito doesn't.
Yeah.
And
I mean, as an audience member, like if you never saw the two, like, oh.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And then so then Akito's like, oh, they're all having fun at the beach house, you know. I should teach them a lesson. I don't know why, but and then Sugar just has this evil smile on all of a sudden.
Yeah. Because really just like, if I can't have fun, no one can have fun.
Pretty much. No
fun allowed here.
And then So he's just like, well, why don't you come to the beach house? And then it's like, duh, duh, duh. Because we don't want Akito to be at the beach house. And again, it's like sexual undertone going on. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to the beach house, and Yuki has a fever because it's hot out, and he just kind of got a small one, but Toru's worried, of course, even though it's a small one. And Haru's just like, can I go take a bath? And Yuki's like, why you gotta ask me that?
I don't want you to be lonely.
Yeah. And then he gets mad, and he's like, okay, fine. And he leaves.
One of the things they left out because they were cutting it short was like, because how Hiro and Kisa show up later, they cut out the scene where they show up, and all of a sudden the boys, they need to split off into the rooms, and, Haru's like, oh, Yuki and I'll share a room. Like, I missed that part.
Oh, man. Wasn't Hiro, like, upset about something with Kisa, too? I forget.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
like, Momiji teases him in the same way that he teased Kyo. Like, you want to share a room with Kisa, don't you? Remember?
Yeah.
It's been a long time. I just can't remember.
Yeah, Toru's like, yeah. She was like, Toru was like, yeah, I'll show you where our room is at, and yeah. Then Momiji's like, well, I bet you'd want to stay in a room with her.
So now we're at like the scene with Yuki and Haru. I mean, not. What am I saying? Yuki and Toru. And like grabs her hair, like kind of just playing with it, which I feel like it didn't seem as like cringy to me. Like I feel like people would thought it was like all like smooth and romantic, but I just felt like he was just playing with her hair, like I don't know, affectionately. I didn't really find it that weird. I mean, I grab my friend's hair all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I never really saw it as awkward, just because, like you said, it's like just an affectionate thing to do.
Get to Yuki kind of talking about the fact that he needs to tell her something someday. So, I mean, what did you guys think about that?
But he does talk about like how he kind of references back to like when Akito was talking about like how he's in darkness, and he kind of says something along the lines of like it's not just darkness or something like that. Like he's starting to get out of it.
That there's more to life for him.
Mm-hmm. And he needs to famous line, open the lid.
Yeah.
And Toru's like, what? Open the lid?
Open the lid, and his lid and her lid are two different things, and obviously for him, we see the flashback and see that he's the boy with the hat, and that's part of his lid, but there's more to it than that. But for Toru, we know that her lid and something to do with her mother, and a lot to do with her mother.
Yeah, I think Yuki mentioning that he has to open his lid is kind of a trigger for Toru when she realizes that she might need to, open her own lid too.
Mm. And but yeah, it was nice that we finally got the confirmation that he's the boy with the hat. Because they were, I mean, it was kind of obvious, but they were.
I mean, I saw a lot of people that thought it was Kyo.
Yeah,
very confused. But, yeah.
So some people didn't know, but some people thought it was too obvious. So like, whatever. But now they know, so that's good. And so, what did you guys think of the episode?
You go. A long time coming. Oh, okay, yeah. It was really good. Like I had said before, I felt like this episode may have been a little bit rushed, but in the end, I still think that they did a really good job with how they pieced the chapters together, because with adding Hiro and Kisa into this episode, they did it in a way that you couldn't tell that they showed up like a day or two later. So, it was a really cute, fun episode, and like it had a few moments of dark stuff, and like the mysterious parts of the plot. But overall, like, it was a really cute, fun episode.
I really loved it, too, just because I'm excited for what's to come, I think. And I have some anime-only friends, and they said it's, like, a few of them are like, yeah, this feels like the best episode of the season so far. I'm really excited for, the stuff that I know is coming. I love seeing the really mysterious Shigure and Rin and, like, Shigure and Akito type stuff, because I know what's going on, but I think that part of the fun for me watching Fruits Basket is seeing other people's reactions to it. And when stuff like this happens, I just, I go on Reddit and see like the discussion thread and stuff like that, see what people are saying, because it's really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's very exciting. As someone who knows what's happening, like we already know like what's like we have the episode previews, so we know what to expect.
Hmm.
And then everybody else, like they're making their guesses or whatever, and then when they have new information, what they're piecing together, it's just really fun to watch and see how that's playing out.
Yeah, I like all the different theories people come up with. So
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah, this episode I felt like was very, like you guys said, like it seems like it was starting like a lot of different parts that happen later. So like it was great.
Yeah, a lot of like different connecting plot lines.
I want to say thanks to our guest Susan for coming. This was fun. So
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much.
yeah, thanks guys for listening, and hope you guys come to the Fruits Basket podcast. Bye. All right. Want to do spoiler section for a second? Or
yeah,
not?
yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, I guess the Shigure and Akito thing.
Okay.
Shigure know that was Hiro's mom that Hattori was with? Forget.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I'm assuming that like they play it as in he's like closing the door, protect Hattori because like you know when you're blind you're like, oh, does Hattori have a new girl? But I feel like Shigure was just ready to like go to town. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought he was just being a hoe, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he was because we know that Shigure and Akito, even though they're like have this messed up relationship right now, we know that they're still like sleeping with each other at this moment because we see it later. I'm pretty sure like Shigure. I mean, like we know that Shigure obviously. A few chapters later, we find out he rejected Rin, so he's not that much of a hoe, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like it kind of mirrors when Kodeno shut the door too when he walked into the room with Akito. Like you know, then
Yeah.
we see Shigure do that too. So it's like I feel like
and Akito like doing it. I just get uncomfortable.
Oh, I know. I saw someone that said that Shigure shut the door because he didn't want Kodeno to see them doing anything.
Oh
no.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of saw both, but I'm like, yeah, that's just Hiro's mom, though. Like, so I don't. I'm like,
I feel like the only thing, like, I don't think that Akito would have gotten jealous to see Hatori with Hiro's mom, because, like, she, you know, Akito probably knew who that was. I feel like it would have been more, like, you're taking care of someone else. You're taking care of someone else instead of me, you know.
So we find out that she's pregnant, right?
Yeah, we find out at the beach sometime that she's pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's next.
I think it might be next episode too.
Watermelons, and I think that's where they find out.
Yeah.
Oh, which speaking of, I'm so excited for next episode because we get to see Toru try to split a watermelon with her hand, and then she like breaks it, and then Kisa's like, "Well, I guess I gotta try," and Hiro's like, "No, Kisa."
Yeah.
I want to talk about Toru's that's going on with her too.
Mm-hmm.
Quick. We kind of know that she has this trauma. This is like real spoilers, guys. If you're still watching this in anime only, I highly recommend clicking off at this point. But, we know that. Oh yeah, Kyoya. I was just watching Host Club. I swear. Go got like really depressed after Katsuya passed away, and she was neglecting Toru for a while. She said that like she wasn't even remembering to feed her, and that the grandpa was coming in and doing stuff.
Yeah.
And eventually almost went out and killed herself and abandoned Toru until she remembered. Like it's like that would haunt a child. And I was in psychology class, and we're talking about how whenever that happens to a kid, they either usually become very, very attached to their parent, or they form no attachments at all. And I think that Toru became very attached. Obviously, they loved each other, but I think that part of Toru's extreme attachment is due to that fear of her mother leaving her, like lingering in the back of her mind.
That makes total sense because that's pretty much like Toru's like before she gets with Kyo, she's like she has to get over her mom in a weird way.
She feels
like
guilty.
Yeah, I always felt like that was so weird. Like, when the first time I read the manga, when, she's having to come to terms with, I have that one person has always been mom, and now all of a sudden I want it to be Kyo, and so, like, she's struggling with that, and for a while I couldn't understand, why that was so hard for her.
Who do you love most? And you're like, well, it has to be my parent, because, my parent is dead, and they raised me, but she starts to realize that she loves Kyo the most out of anybody, and, like, that's a really scary thought. Like, even if I felt that I was starting to love somebody more than, like, somebody who passed away who, like, took care of me, I feel like I'd feel like I was a bad person, almost.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, but, like, I also felt weird about, the resentment that she felt towards her dad when she was a kid. Like, that was so weird to me until, like, I read it a bunch of times and realized at first I thought it was, like, she didn't want her mom to love her dad more than her, but then, like, over time I realized it's that when her dad died, Kyoko became so closed off.
He almost, quote unquote, took her from him in, like, the literal sense of,
Right.
because he died, she almost died too.
Mhm.
And I think that, you can't help something like, I feel like that resentment is just something that's doesn't consciously try to do it. It just comes up, and she, like, has this reaction to her dad, like, oh, I don't know, I like you. Like, she doesn't, I don't think she means to do it. It's just something that happens.
Right, and, like, that it happened when she was so young that's just become, like, part of who she is as a growing adult, too. Like, it's not something that you can really change about yourself at that age.
I think it adds a lot more depth to her character that she's not and she's very sweet and innocent, but she's not it's not all she is, and I feel like it made her a lot more flawed of a character. Like, obviously her dad didn't do anything wrong.
Mhm.
I mean, he did, in my opinion, but, like, that's for when we get to Kyoko's backstory, but
Mhm.
uh I really like this episode and all the foreshadowing little pieces, and like how I'm glad that we're gonna find out in a few episodes that Rin and Shigure didn't do it, because, like, they really made it seem like it, and, like, thought that I mean, I was really happy to see anime onlys react to that and be like, what is going on?
Oh, yeah. Well, and, like, their conversation was so vague, too, that anyone who hasn't, read it, they don't know.
Yeah, and we know that Rin was, like, willing to do anything to break the curse because she cares about Haru so much. She was trying to sleep with him, like, she was gonna
Right.
maybe that she could get information out of him, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Fruits Basket gets kinda dark, man.
Yeah.
No. I'm really excited. When does Rin show up at the beach? Would it be next episode or, like, the episode after, or
I think it might be the one after next week's.
well, what do we expect? What are your predictions for next week? Because I can't remember the order of stuff. All I know is the watermelon stuff, because that's what's in the title.
I'm gonna have to look at the manga again. Like, I look at it, like, before the episode comes out, like the day of, and I'm like, let's see what's gonna happen. So,
Right.
so I'd have to look, honestly, because I kind of, like I said, I kind of guessed the window thing wasn't gonna happen. So
yeah. Well, I know, the watermelon thing's gonna happen, and I'm pretty sure this is also the point when Akito does arrive at the beach, and that's when he summons, or she summons everyone.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
I think I'm good. I want to say thanks to our guest Susan for coming. This was fun. So
yeah, it was. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's great that I can talk to people from, like, the fandom like this. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and I wanted to apologize again for just
You're fine.
up late, man. I just jumped in there. I didn't realize you guys were already going.
Oh, it's fine. I was just like, you know what? We got two people. I'm not talking to myself. Let's go. So
yeah.
So you were fine. Thanks, guys, for listening, and hope you guys come to the Fruits Basket podcast. Bye.